Hi there, this is Alyssa from Unbusy, where I teach you how to simplify your home, create routines that work for you as a work from home mom, and up-level your work at home mindset. Today, I have a bonus episode for you. We're bringing on a guest, Andrea, to talk about the faith take on toxic body image. Andrea helps women heal from eating disorders and toxic body image by reclaiming their self-worth and realigning with their God-given identity and purpose. She inspires the pursuit of wellness from a foundation of faith and mindful mental health. Andrea's body image battle started when she was 8 years old, giving her nearly 30 years of experience in the realm of body image dysmorphia, eating disorders, and other mental health disorders like anxiety and depression. She empathizes with the unique mindset of the child, teen, and adult navigating their self-worth and healing journey. So, hi, Andrea. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Alyssa. Thanks so much for having me on.
I love your mission and your specific take on the body image and wellness with a faith-based perspective.
Yes, that is what the faith-based part is, the biggest needle mover, I would have to say, in my own healing journey. And I don't know if very many people talk about it, or I haven't heard much about it. So I want to share my story around that because it seems the mindset doesn't always include the faith aspect.
Yes. So let's dive in a little more. Can you tell our listeners more about how you revamped your own toxic body image by using your Christian faith?
Yes. So a lot of times we get stuck in our heads. Okay. There's this loud inner critic that is almost like a megaphone, constantly just constant abuse all day long in your head about imperfections that you need to improve on. And what I started doing was I noticed that negative self-talk, and I knew I needed to replace something. I knew I needed to replace it with the truth, like the truth that God created me. He made me who I am. He made me this way. And who am I to question the creator? It's like a hard stop. So that really helped me right away. Like when I'd catch myself in a mirror and I would start going, as soon as I'd feel myself spiraling that way or kind of falling that way, I would tell myself, stop. God made you this way. Who are you to question the creator? This is like pretty much the only time in our lives when we can say, who are you, right? To question the creator who has created everything. He's perfect. So he has created you. You are perfect. The way he created you is the way you were meant to be, really. And another part of that too was then realigning yourself with your purpose. When we get wrapped up in our minds and focus on what we aren't, we forget who we were made to be. So I really had to spend time with God and reconnect with my inner child and realign myself with my God-given identity, like looking back at my childhood and seeing, no, this is who God made me to be. God created for me a purpose. I matter. I have value. And starting to find that in my life, really trying to reconnect with that again versus just constantly looking at what I'm not and trying to fulfill something that's unattainable, really. And just being who I am, you know what I'm saying? Like just being that person he created me to be. So it's kind of like a two-step process with immersing yourself with the truth, with God's truth about who you are. And he did not make a mistake when he created us. So taking that, just taking it for what it is and just moving on. Okay, well, why did he create me? And looking at it that way. And as I started doing that, and I believe that is people start to reconnect with their purpose. And when they have purpose in their daily lives, the superficial things about how we look, and it just falls away. It's not as important. And And that was really the big part for me, is doing that. But it's hard when you're kind of wrapped up in, especially with anxiety and depression and stuff as well. You live in your head so much. So you really have to slow down and look at and evaluate what you are thinking about yourself and how greatly that impacts you. And then you have to, and those lies that you are telling yourself, and then you have to start replacing it with that truth, that truth that you can go anywhere, you can read the Bible, you can listen to, there's a station here called K-Love. I have to listen to it every day when I get in my car. I love it. Like, just anytime I listen to a song, I read a Bible verse, I just feel better and I feel like myself. There's this, you know what I'm saying? So that is really how I have approached it from a faith perspective, with changing the way I view myself. And
those
really,
are both two really
yeah.
powerful flips, I think. That whole stop right there. Don't talk back to God effectively. And then quit thinking about what you're not, because if you're doing that, you're not living what you're supposed to be doing. I like that.
Mhm.
So switching a bit, can we talk about how as moms, we need to set the example for our children, especially daughters, how the body image, self-worth, we want them to be strong in this at the same time as we might be having issues with it, that kind of a thing?
Yes, exactly. Years ago, I checked out this book at the library. It was called Managing Mayhem. And I checked it out with the purpose of reading about child emotions and how to help my daughter regulate her emotions. And let me tell you, 3/4 of this book was actually for the parent or the caregiver, teaching them about their emotions and questioning, do you know what your emotions are? Do you know how to manage your emotions? And that's exactly what that is in this scenario as well. We can tell our children or our daughters how great they are, like how much purpose they have, how much they are loved, how beautiful and wonderful they are. But if they see us or hear us acting a different way, that's what they're going to emulate. So you really do have to start with yourself. And I had to do that. I had to, because if you say, oh yeah, it's okay to eat the cupcake at the birthday party, and you don't eat the cupcake at the birthday party, it doesn't matter what you say. They are going to notice what you do. So starting with your, and kids hear everything. They can pick up, they're so smart, and they pick up on everything and they hear everything. So you really do have to, watch how you speak to yourself and what kind of behaviors, like what your habits are and your behaviors around, like how healthy is your relationship with food in your body, because that is going to trickle down to your kids. You're teaching them how to view food, and how to have that relationship with their body. So when I have an affirmation that I have to say to myself, and when I overhear, like if I overhear my daughter say, oh, I look fat in these jeans, or I don't like the way I look in these clothes, when I go to speak to her about that and lift her up with the truth of how she's wonderfully, she's wonderfully made, it's going to be more genuine. And she's going to know that I am serious when she hears me say it to myself, and when she knows that I love myself and treat myself well. It's going to have so much more impact if what we say actually matches up with what we do. And that it can be very hard. There's a lot of steps involved with that, but it really does start with your personal relationship with food and your own body image. And then you can teach your kids how to have that healthy relationship as well, and to how to talk to themselves about it. You have to have the tools, and then you can teach them the tools. So it really does come with you first. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
even if you feel like you're prepared to live this way, you wouldn't do it for yourself. You have to do it for them, because the words
And that,
will be hollow if it's not, you're not doing it.
yeah. And then another part of that too, with our kids, like I learned recently that I didn't know that there were other body types when I was younger. I didn't understand that there's so many body types. And I didn't understand also that being a female, how like your hormones affect your body naturally throughout the month. Like the ebb and flow of your body, like your body changes shape throughout the month. I had no idea about that. So specifically for girls, like I have 2 girls. So it is my job to educate them about the body types, and that they're all beautiful. And then eventually, yeah, when they're old enough and they start having their cycle and stuff, like how that affects. And it's okay, it's natural, it's expected. You can go up 4 pounds one day and drop 4 pounds. It's so natural. And I didn't know that. And so I was using that as kind of like a sign of like I was doing something wrong. Like, I don't look like these other people. My body type was different, but I didn't know that. I thought it just meant that since I didn't look like them, because majority of kids will have that slender like body type. It's not till later that people really start their metabolism changes and stuff and their hormones set in. So I was really putting myself down, but that was my body type. And I didn't know that it was okay to be different.
Mhm.
And then with social media these days, it's hard. It's really hard. You have to be emotionally available for our kids to come to us with insecurities, so we can start having these conversations. And also so that if there are red flags that are kind of popping up early, like if there are certain things that they're saying and doing that are harmful, that we can pick up on that and address it from an early age. And so that they're not internalizing everything they're feeling and trying to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, it really hits home because I have 3 daughters as well.
Yes. Yep. And it really is. It comes down to having those conversations and educating, because you know how it is. All the messaging that we receive as females and as young girls, it's like, this is the standard for beauty. So if you want to be loved and accepted and viewed as beautiful, this is the box you have to fit into. And if you don't fit into this box, well, too bad. But that's what they're going to hear. And that's the kind of messaging they're going to receive. So we have to be proactive in that and kind of telling them, this is what you're going to hear and see, but this is the truth. This is how we're going to be confident. And then go back to those original things, like your identity, like your purpose in God, like God created the purpose. Let's focus on that. And it's a fact that you were made, he created you to be this way. So that is the way you were supposed to be.
Yep. Like you said, correcting any of those little tiny things that start to creep in. Just like, I have teenagers now, and then the kids are like, oh, you're fat. And like, they are no longer skinny children. They are maturing. They have the womanly shape. And I'm sorry, some of our curves do not look skinny. So, there's nothing wrong. Then you have to parse the difference between skinny and slender, and trying to do it in an age appropriate way. And the whole, she doesn't have a beanpole body type anymore. And that's okay.
Yep. And it can be kind of awkward. And that's one of the things too, is like when your body starts changing, it can get a little awkward, but then making sure it doesn't go so far as you're trying to change it into, you're trying to change yourself into something you're not meant to be. Then it gets harmful.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I also love your message of it's healthy to keep working out, like to enjoy exercise and not treat it as the root of all evil, which a lot of body image and diet culture seems to say, okay, well, then the fix is you need to stop making yourself exercise. So I'd also love to hear about your mindset approach to working out.
Yes, this has to do with the narrative in my mind again. So at the beginning, a lot of times when I would work out, it was, I have to do this so that I can eat. And it took years to slowly shift that into a place of now where when I'm working out, I have to listen to my mind and listen to my body. Like if it feels good, then I will keep doing it. I won't push through, because when I was younger, it was like I had to run 4 miles every day, or else basically you didn't earn your food for that day. And there's a lot rolled into the exercising with me, because my personality, I'm a very driven person, and I always was in competitive sports, and I have asthma. So I had to compete. I had to start working out outside of like practices and things to stay in that much better shape so that my asthma would allow me to compete. So I was conditioned well enough. But the flip side of that was it fed into my eating disorder. It was a it was a it was a fine line I was walking. And throughout, and then years after that, there were some things, health things, like there's heart disease in my family, there's diabetes in my family. So then I felt like this need that if I don't work out, I'm going to develop heart disease, I'm going to do this. And really, I had to recreate the narrative in my mind so that it was, like I said, helpful, not harmful. I had to, we really have to have like a certain point, a certain amount of healing to get to that point too, because exercise, like working out, it's a non-negotiable for me, because for mental health, I need that also because of anxiety. And so many people, we all know the health benefits of working out. I mean, you're going to lower your risks you're going to lower your risks of these diseases like heart disease and diabetes. And then as we age, especially as women, it's like, I don't want osteoporosis when I'm in, you know what I'm saying? I want my bones to be strong. I want to have this quality life. It's kind of shifted. It's like in my early 20s, it was all about the way I looked. Now it's about my quality of life and my functionality and how I want my life to proceed going forward. It's like, I want to be able to run and play with my kids. I want to be able, to go hiking and biking. And then as I get older, I want, if I ever have grandchildren, I want to be able to get on the floor with them and play and do these things. It's just, I'm 30, what am I now? 37. And so you kind of start looking at that, and you can kind of start noticing like the people in your life that you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't do the best job taking care of their body. And that's part of it too, is our bodies are the vehicles for our souls. And if we don't take care of our vehicle, then we can't live out our purpose. So it's very important to me, because if I'm not feeling well, if my mental health isn't good, if my back hurts all the time, if that's happening, then I'm not feeling good enough to do what I was created to do. I can't be the good mom. I can't be the good wife. I can't help other women in their healing journeys. So it's very important to identify why it, like, almost set up like your why for exercise. And you have to evaluate it and make it, and really question it. You have to question what aspects of this are helpful and what aspects are harmful, and you have to change it. So if you're over exercising, if you start feeling yourself, oh, I need to work out today, I should do this, that's a red flag for me to stop again, kind of like that stop moment, and say, well, why do I think that? Like, why would I work out right now? What is this doing for me? And it's really about slowing down and allowing yourself to feel those things and have those conversations. But it's just a process of slowly over time, you get better at changing that narrative and molding the approach into something that works for you. And for each person, it can be different, but that's how it's worked for me. And because I've seen the evidence in my life from not my first pregnancy. I didn't really exercise that much. I didn't really do that. And then in my second pregnancy, and back to my first pregnancy, and I didn't really exercise very much. In my recovery after birth, like, I was in so much pain. My body I felt miserable. My back hurt so bad. And and then during my second pregnancy, I started doing prenatal exercises. And I actually had a program that I did after birth. And it was phenomenal. It was a 180 change from first pregnancy to second pregnancy. So my second pregnancy, I felt great during childbirth and after. I had like no pain. I took no pain pills. The first one, I had so many pain pills. And the second one, I didn't take a single pain pill and my back never hurt. Like, I bounced back, just my body, like this, the way I felt inside. And so it was just like it's kind of proof to me, like that was like a little signal. Geez, if that's what exercise can do in that situation, I got to keep this up, because it is true. If you don't use it, you lose it. And it's just something I'm very passionate about, moving your body and working out in ways that work for you in your life. And it's, like I said, it's a necessity. And I think I have the right approach to it, because I asked my daughter, my 9-year-old, the other morning, I asked her, Ava, because I just got done from my workout downstairs, and I came up, I said, hey, Ava, why do I work out? Why does mom work out? And she said, so you can have a healthy mind and a healthy body. And I was so happy when she said that, because she didn't say anything about the way I looked, because you have to do this. And she mentioned my mind. So that tells me that my approach to working out is it's working, and it's modeling the healthy approach that I want for my girls. I was so happy when she said that, because you want a healthy mind and you want a healthy body.
Yes.
And so I love that. So, right, that kind of connects to your first question or the second one about how we model, how we have to do it for ourselves first and figure it out. Then we have to model that. But that meant the world to me when she said that, because it was a relief because years ago I would have said, oh, because you have to look this way, or you have to lose weight because you're trying to lose weight. And that's not what she said. And that just really warmed my heart. It made me feel so good that she got that piece of it, that she understands why I do it.
Yes. It's so wonderful when they catch it.
Yes.
So would you tell our listeners where we can find you, and if you have anything for them to take action steps on this faith-filled body image flip?
Yes, I actually have my own podcast. It's called Good Vanilla. and I release episodes weekly, so they can find anywhere, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. I'm also on Instagram, and it's just Andrea underscore Carow. And then I think you have my Linktree link. And within that, I actually created a workbook called 4 Secrets Your Eating Disorder Doesn't Want You to Know. And these are just 4 things that I wish I would have known many years ago, that that I felt like I was in the dark on. And then once I had like light bulb moments, they're kind of like 4 light bulb moments that really help you take those first steps in your healing journey. But those are the main places. I do have a website, just andreacarow.com. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. I have, that workbook and my podcast. I teach on my podcast about, just about how I've gone through my healing journey and like the practical steps and the mindset shifts that I've done in healing. So
Yes, we'll have that link tree in the show notes for you guys, since now I'm curious. What are the 4 things?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, Andrea. Bye for now and have a great day.